would be a tough call for Golden Go to sit in front of. So you have Sneasler that can hit it, Tyranitar can hit it, as well as Rage Fist Annihilate. So 3 different answers into Darsh's Golden Go. But we'll see how this will play out in top 8. Jump across the 4th versus Darsh. Patel, winner of the set, moves on to face Wolf Glick in top 4 here in Toronto. Pelipper, Grimmsnarl for Darsh with Tyranitar, Volcarona for CHUPA. What is this, black and white?
Looking at all of these weathers, these familiar black and white Pokemon, we've seen this lead from Marcus yesterday. The Tyranitar and the Volcarona relying on the bulk of both of these Pokemon and Volcarona's speed to get Tyranitar up faster, like similar to Blood Moon. Once it has a Tailwind, it is fast enough to go over most threats. Meanwhile, Pelipper is led, but just immediately has its weather answered, is in a pretty poor spot here. But interestingly, does have a Weather Ball. Oh no, this does not. Has Muddy Water and Hurricane, so it does not have the Weather Ball to threaten back a Rock-type Weather Ball into Volcarona, leaving it even more poorly positioned here, but the Reflect will help.
Yeah, the Grimmsnarl sets up Reflect, which will mitigate the damage that physical attacks do from CHUPA's side for the next 8 turns, thanks to that Light Clay, making it more than 5, making it 8 turns of having the physical damage. Tailwind from Pelipper is going to match Volcarona's in this position, so both of these teams have boosted their speed, so we're effectively back to neutral speed for the next 4 turns.
Yeah, both players prioritizing Tailwind. It's been a core part of this Reg H metagame is that if one player is going to get Tailwind, the other player needs to get it as well, and so both players lead a Tailwind available and use it on the first turn. Grimmsnarl does some work to mitigate damage, but Tyranitar does a lot of damage back and is still really well positioned here. There is no Spirit Break on the other side. It's Foul Play on Grimmsnarl, and a Muddy Water into Assault Vest Tyranitar in the sand is not too much of a damage threat, though it would still pick up valuable chip into both of these Pokemon. Pelipper may be, you have to kind of make a decision whether you just want to trade it away or you want to get the weather control eventually, which is what Darsh prefers, and so Pelipper out into the back, Archaludon coming in, maybe hoping to get a stamina boost off of some attacks coming in. Right,
anticipating somebody or some of CHUPA's Pokemon to target down the Pelipper trying to get a KO, you can boost up Archaludon's defense here. Struggle Bug does connect onto both of Darsh's Pokemon, but it does lower their special attack, so obviously Archaludon going to be coming in with a stamina boost. Sure, it's going to be taking a hit from Tyranitar a little bit better, but at the cost of its special attack. And that Rock Slide connecting means it's +2 for essentially taking no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, Darsh pulls a little bit of a Matador move with Pelipper there. So you see it, and then now it's an Archaludon. Takes 2 attacks easily, gets +2 defense, does lose 1 stage of special attack. For the things that it can't body press, that could be significant later on. But for now, is so well positioned between Light Screen, the Assault Vest, the 2 stages of Stamina, and the Reflect. It is so difficult to take this Pokemon down. Tyranitar and Volcarona are definitely not going to do it before they get lost. Now, one key thing, though, is that Volcarona can Rage Powder away body press from Tyranitar, and if you throw a body press into the Volcarona, you're risking getting burnt from Flame Body, which would be very significant, both the chip damage and the reduction in body press damage.
Thunder Wave from Grimmsnarl goes towards Volcarona, as Volcarona did click the Rage Powder to redirect attacks away from this Tyranitar that is 4 times weak to fighting, so you'd rather Volcarona, the bug type who resists it, take that hit. Does not get the burn. Knockoff goes into Archaludon, giving it a 3rd stamina boost, but it does get rid of that Assault Vest.
Getting rid of the Assault Vest could be key. Something like Ursaluna in the back is much more likely to just threaten a KO onto Archaludon even through Light Screen now. Darsh also makes the risky play of landing a body press into the Volcarona but doesn't get punished for it, but also doesn't accomplish much. Volcarona resists the body press. It's still more than half health even after taking that body press, and can just Rage Powder again the next turn. And because of the Struggle Bug into the Archaludon, it's harder for the Archaludon to just threaten a KO back into this fairly bulky Volcarona.
Yeah, and this is one of the tough spots for a Grimmsnarl player, and some of the downsides to it, which just has so much support, is like, okay, it's been 3 turns, I've clicked Light Screen, Reflect, and Thunder Wave, and now I can't Thunder Wave the Dark type because it has Prankster, so now Grimmsnarl is going to be forced to click Foul Play or some low damage attack into either a Dark type or a special attacker in Volcarona. Volcarona eating its Citrus Berry was brought under half HP, so it's going to recover 25%. This Rock Slide is doing hardly any damage while connecting to both of Darsh's Pokemon. The Foul Play brings CHUPA down to around 25% HP, and the Flame Body activating on Grimmsnarl, burning it.
CHUPA eventually gets one flame body, probably not onto the target that he wanted it onto, but still helpful to get that chip damage back onto Grimmsnarl, makes it more likely that just the next rock slide would take it down. Volcarona was healthy enough to, with the Citrus Berry, take both the body pressed and the foul play, which means that it could Rage Powder again this turn, but shouldn't be able to Tailwind again this turn. It's too slow for that. If Darsh wants to prioritize taking it down, it won't be able to get a Tailwind up.
Now, at some point, because Tyranitar is known as that slow weather setter, Darsh has the Pelipper in the back. Is there ever a turn that you go for the cheeky swap Pelipper in for Electro Shot to regain the special attack?
Sure, it's an option. You also have Volcarona low enough now that that KO threat is real. You could try to get the special attack back. But here, Tyranitar just gets hit by a body press. Volcarona not going for Rage Powder this turn, probably looking for a Tailwind, but paying for it.
Yeah, no Rage Powder means Tyranitar is down for the rest of this game. And now the foul play into Volcarona because of the burn. It does not do enough, but no Tailwind. Instead, it's the overheat. A neutral hit into Arch Alladon, bringing it down very low at the cost of 2 stages of special attack. And Volcarona is so low, and it's paralyzed. I think CHUPA's not going to get another chance to Tailwind.
No, but gets really valuable damage onto the Arch Alladon. That way it's now so low with no way to heal back. Tyranitar, every turn it was staying on the field, it was risking going down to body press anyway because the Volcarona could have just fully paralyzed on the Rage Powder, but it does just go down there. It really wasn't accomplishing much at this point anyway. You almost don't want to KO the Grimmsnarl because that would just put something else to deal with on the field, and so not huge value for CHUPA to try to protect it. The NDD comes in very well positioned here. The lack of the Assault Vest and the damage on Arch Alladon might mean that it can threaten a KO. Of course, you can't threaten a double KO with Expanding Force because of Grimmsnarl's dark typing, but Volcarona, still as low as it is, can still at least offer a Rage Powder to keep one of these Pokemon targeting into that slot.
Yeah, indeed, Mail is a Pokemon that has risen throughout the format of Regulation H as a viable meta-relevant Pokemon, being pretty fast, also holding the Choice Scarf, and then doing solid damage since you have the Psychic Terrain and Terra Psychic. CHUPA not confident that the Expanding Force would knock out into the resisted Steel type on the other end without the Terra. Volcarona tries to Rage Powder, but it will be paralyzed, not redirecting an attack. Here is the Expanding Force in Psychic Terrain with a Psychic Terra boost. Not going to hit the Dark type, only Arch Alladon, and it does get the knockout.
Using the Terastallization there to ensure that KO and mean that Arch Alladon doesn't get to attack. And no Rage Powder, no problem. The foul play goes into that slot anyway, knocks out Volcarona, and gives CHUPA free entry for another Pokemon, but also free entry for Darsh to bring something else in.
Looks like precisely the amount of HP that Grimmsnarl has left. It will be knocked out at the end of the next turn thanks to the burn, unless CHUPA knocks it out for him here. CHUPA will bring in Sneasler into this slot, revealing his 4th Pokemon in this match, and Darsh deciding to do the same with his Golden Girl. So he still has Pelipper in the back at some point.
Right. Golden Girl really has to come in here because Pelipper low enough that it would just go down to an Expanding Force. We talked about that before the match, that it is slow enough that if it takes some damage, it's then just vulnerable to KOs. Golden Girl may be also vulnerable here, though. Throat Chop and Expanding Force is going to be a ton of damage, and if you try to Terastallize out of the Throat Chop weakness, well, then you're just going to take neutral damage for Expanding Force. That is way worse. But if the Golden Girl can get some damage off, it could be significant, but it might not be a KO onto either of these Pokemon. The Psychic Seed is going to help Sneasler stay bulkier into an attack, and NDD should have enough bulk to take one Make It Rain.
There's a Throat Chop, can go down to just under above a 50% HP remaining. Here's the Expanded Force only hitting Golden Go, bringing it low, 36, not enough for the knockout. So Golden Go will be able to retaliate with a Shadow Ball into Indeedee Mail for the one-hit KO. And now you have Grimmsnarl on its last turn before the burn will take it out. You can target into the Sneasler on the other end with a foul play. It is a physical attacker, but it does resist, so it doesn't do, it does more than he would have thought because of the critical hit. Grimmsnarl giving now a free switch in to Pelipper after knocking itself out from burn recoil.
Yeah, that critical hit may have been fairly significant. If Golden Go had or if Sneasler had the special defense and health with the Psychic Seed to be able to take a Shadow Ball, probably not possible to take a Make It Rain as Golden goes free to change attacks. It should be possible to just put a Hurricane and a Make It Rain out there and pick up the KO one way or another. Sneasler has no spread moves, can only pick one of these to take down. But if there was any chance for Sneasler to live through an attack, I think it really evaporated with that foul play critical hit.
Yeah, so through the burn, Darsh still getting enough damage thanks to the critical hit, getting rid of that hindrance to its physical attack, making foul play do more damage. And now, thankfully, as you mentioned, Sneasler does not get spread attacks. He can only attack one Pokemon at a time. Decides to throat chop the Pelipper. Not even enough for a KO in general. So Make It Rain will finish it off, and Darsh Patel is one game away from moving on to top 4 here in Toronto. He's saying it's his time.
He's cooking a little bit with this team for sure. Manages to weather the storm with our Chalardon, get enough damage out, gets the big KO into Tyranitar, and CHUPA was just missing some offensive potential. You look at the Pokemon that he brought, there wasn't that much damage threat into first their Chalardon and then the Golden Go later on. Maybe if those matchups had been inversed and Tyranitar was fighting against the Golden Go, it could have gotten a knockoff out, and of course Sneasler would have loved to fight against our Chalardon, but because switching out of the positions was difficult, CHUPA fought them out as they were, which in both cases wasn't in his favor.
Now, the Tyranitar was on the field for a while, but I do think that there is a potential, conundrum for CHUPA if you lead Volcarona and Tyranitar and you want to Rage Powder and let Tyranitar get Rock Slide, chip damage, and, a couple knockoffs onto the field. While it's doing that, as you mentioned, there's always just the threat of Body Press, one hit KOing the one turn that Volcarona doesn't redirect it away. So is there a spot that Tyranitar has to be saved for later, or, maybe an adjustment since Blood Moon Ursaluna was not brought to game 1, or do you think that the Tyranitar Volcarona lead is a solid option for CHUPA?
It looks solid in the early game. I think Tyranitar probably stayed on the field a little bit too long, right? If it had gotten out earlier on when it really wasn't accomplishing much with those Rock Slides, like on the turn that it went down and something else had come in, might have been better for CHUPA, but the switches are difficult, right? Like Sneasler resists Body Press, but it's not an especially bulky Pokemon. There were a lot of stamina boosts onto our Chalardon at that point. It still would have been significant damage, and there's no guarantee that Tyranitar is what you need in the endgame. The Golden Go hadn't been revealed yet. If it was like the Dragonite instead, the Tyranitar might not have been the pick. I think the other adjustment I'd look at from CHUPA, I was surprised to not see the Ursaluna Blood Moon. Would have had strong matchups against a lot of the Pokemon Darsh brought. For instance, that last overheat into the Chalardon was because he needed to put it in range for an Expanding Force, but if it was Blood Moon in the back, then a Tailwind there might have just made the game a lot easier. No surprise to see the Ursaluna right out on the field to start with, but no adjustment from Darsh, just the Grimmsnarl and Pelipper again.
Yeah, CHUPA has his back against the wall right now. No room for error. Has to win the next 2 games, or his dream of retaining his Toronto Regional Championship will be over.
Another key turn 1. This time the weather is not gone, which means that Muddy Water is a lot bigger threat. Both of these Pokemon weak to water. You can only Terastallize one of them out of it.
Yeah, so we're going to see which of these Pokemon CHUPA will prioritize. It is the Blood Moon Ursaluna, not only for the defensive properties of getting rid of the water weakness, but for the offensive capabilities of a Terra normal Blood Moon Ursaluna doing so much damage. Light Screen from Grimmsnarl will negate half the damage from CHUPA's special attacks for the next 8 turns, but this Tailwind from Volcarona will double CHUPA's speed here, making Ursaluna move before the Pelipper, and Blood Moon goes towards that slot. Pelipper does hang on thanks to its Focus Sash, surviving at 1 HP, so Pelipper will be able to make it through the turn and match the Tailwinds with Volcarona.
Yeah, no way to avoid that for CHUPA. If you go out with 2 attacks, you could go after Pelipper, but that means you're not getting your own Tailwind. Pelipper, though, looking very vulnerable here. Volcarona, believe we saw move first in both games, so should be able to attack first and just threaten a KO onto this Pelipper with Struggle Bug or Overheat if for some reason you're expecting a switch in the other slot. That gives a lot of flexibility to the Ursaluna how to go out on the attack. You're not that worried about this Grimmsnarl, and it makes it really difficult for Darsh to make a switch because Ursaluna could be doing anything or switching.
They could do anything, include switch out of the field for CHUPA, as Indeedee Mail will swap into that position, setting up the Psychic Terrain, boosting the damage of all Psychic attacks on the field for the next 5 turns. Pelipper protecting smartly for Darsh, does not want to allow the Volcarona to knock it out for free, so the Struggle Bug can only connect into the Grimmsnarl, who's not a special attacker to begin with, so it does just a little bit of damage in a special attack drop that doesn't matter. Foul play from Grimmsnarl into Indeedee on the switch in, brings it down to about 30% HP remaining.
Indeedee's such a frail Pokemon that even its own low attack stat is a threat to it when it's super effective and same type attack boosted. It takes a ton of damage on that switch. Would have been a little bit of chip into Blood Moon as well, but this capitalizes on it more. Pelipper's still very vulnerable here, but the foul play and Indeedee being on the field also means that Grimmsnarl stays a threat. We saw in that last game, Grimmsnarl started to really accomplish nothing, but in this game it's something that CHUPA has to respect more because it would have just KO'd Indeedee on the next turn, and so just undoes the switch on the next turn. Ursaluna coming back in, Pelipper then switching out.
But it does mean that that Grimmsnarl cannot Thunder Wave while the Psychic Terrain is on the field because of that Prankster ability, so this does keep Volcarona nice and speedy, can't get paralyzed for CHUPA's strategy. A second Struggle Bug, this one will count into Archaludon, just like we saw in the previous game, boosting its defense by 1 stage, but also lowering the special attack by 1. The foul play, Ursaluna takes that significantly better than Indeedee would have.
Yeah, just a little bit of chip damage, but every bit of chip damage helps. I think you're exactly right to call out that the Psychic Terrain is crucial for preventing Thunder Wave here into either target is pretty significant. Archaludon now on the field still has his Assault Vest, unlike after getting knocked off in Game 1, also has Light Screen. So this is really weakened Earth Powers compared to like normal damage relationship between these two Pokemon. Also, the Ursaluna weak to Body Press. Even if it isn't a KO, you start to pick up chip from a Body Press plus a Foul Play, Life Orb Recoil from Ursaluna itself attacking will all add up. But for now, a couple of good attacks for CHUPA coming in that he needs to capitalize the most on, try to get some KOs.
And maybe Darsh might not feel confident that the Body Press knocks out into Ursaluna right now at +1, so wants to get a little Snarl damage, lower that special attack. It does connect into both Pokemon. Smartly for Darsh, it also gets around the Rage Powder since Snarl is a special, or a spread attack, excuse me. So really great play from him. Lowering the special attack, meaning he takes way less from the Earth Power, but he does get the special defense drop there. So now we're back to kind of neutral. You know, I lower your special attack, you lower my special defense, and Earth Power is still a threat. And Flame Body activating yet again 2 games in a row on Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, this is valuable chip damage onto Grimmsnarl. The Rage Powder support is crucial here. Darsh last game was very willing to just throw Body Presses into the Volcarona, pick up damage that way and risk the burn, but this time I think is smart to go for the Snarl. Both lowers any future potential offense from the Volcarona, but also mitigates damage from Ursaluna, gets some chip on it, which is important. The special defense drop is pretty crucial. The Archaludon looked like maybe with an extra Snarl it might be able to take an Earth Power on the next turn. That won't be the case after that special defense drop. So if the Archaludon stays on the field, no option to protect here, so if it stays on the field, it's probably going down to an Earth Power on this turn. It could try to threaten a KO into Volcarona with Electroshot, but that would just be leaving this Ursaluna content on the field to attack. Grimmsnarl not a threat to take down Ursaluna at all, or even affect it or hamper it using Thunder Wave because of the Psychic Terrain that CHUPA said earlier.
So now Grimmsnarl will switch for Darsh. Could be either the Pelipper or his 4th Pokemon that he is not revealed. Deciding to reveal Golden Go to CHUPA. How is CHUPA going to be able to respond this turn? Ursaluna does not want to take another Snarl here, so will Tailwind and Protect. Now, since Pelipper's not on the field, Darsh cannot match the Tailwind speeds, which will allow the Blood Moon Ursaluna to attack first the next turn thanks to the Tailwind. Body Press goes into that Protect as well. So great turn from CHUPA.
The rain stops as well, which removes Archelodon's potential to go after Volcarona on this turn. Golden Go looked to switch in and get past the Rage Powder support by threatening a faster Make It Rain on this turn. There might have been enough chip to have like Snarl plus Make It Rain be the KO, but the Tailwind really hampers that because now Ursaluna will move for either of those Pokemon, can just go after Archelodon with an Earth Power that frees up Volcarona to possibly just Struggle Bug as well to reduce incoming Make It Rains.
And now with Darsh having his Golden Go on the field,
the Overheat also not weakened because there's no rain anymore, and so even at -1 could be important offense against Golden Go. For now, Ursaluna is so crucial to the game, though, just going to go back and bring out Sneasler on this turn.
Yeah, Sneasler goes into that slot, as you mentioned, Overheat from Volcarona. It didn't do enough to Archelodon last time around, but there is no rain. It's already down to about 45% HP remaining. Maybe Volcarona, maybe CHUPA feels as if he needs just a little bit more chip damage before the Overheat can get there, but it will be the most valuable Struggle Bug you can have in this set since it's into 2 special attackers in Archelodon and Golden Go. The body press is ineffective into Sneasler, but it's so frail that it already brings it down to half, and the Make It Rain's not enough. Sneasler will hang on in the red, so with its boosted speed, Volcarona and Sneasler are going to be faster than Darsh's Pokemon next turn.
The body press looked like so much damage into Sneasler for just a couple of stamina boosts, I guess 3 of them, but then the Make It Rain between the Psychic Seed and the Struggle Bug just doesn't do much to Sneasler. It's able to hang on, which is pretty important because now threaten down the Archelodon. Volcarona can continue to threaten an Overheat into Golden Go. Something like a Throat Chop plus an Overheat is a threatened KO into that slot, I believe, as well. So this is difficult for Darsh. You can't remove every threat that CHUPA is presenting immediately. For now, it's Golden Go that needs to be preserved. Has already lost the stage of special attack, has some incoming threat of damage, so it's Grimmsnarl just coming right back into that slot.
Yeah, Grimmsnarl just trying to take this hit for Golden Go. The close combat, though, from Sneasler is more than enough for the KO into Archelodon, so Darsh losing one of his most important Pokemon in this matchup. Does not going to have any attacks coming out since he just switched in with the Grimmsnarl, and Grimmsnarl is going to have to take that Overheat. Takes it pretty well, all things considered, lowering Volcarona's special attack by 2 stages.
Right, probably the best option for coming in and taking that Overheat. Of course, Pelipper would have just been KO'd since it's down to 1 HP. That makes life a little bit safer for Golden Go. I think there's still a path here for Darsh, right? The advantage for the Ursaluna only lasts as long as there is Tailwind. If the Golden Go is now safe with Light Screen and the -2 special attack, the threat of rain coming in, to not worry too much about the Overheat, it might be able to go through a turn of Throat Chop and Overheat and just get some KOs here and then get past the Tailwind, but it's definitely a difficult recipe. The Grimmsnarl already burnt and at low health. The Pelipper down to 1 HP. It's all on the shoulders of this Golden Go to deal with several Pokemon.
Yeah, in this position, it's 3 Pokemon, 2, 4. CHUPA still has, all of them has the flexibility of switching around, which he will do right now, swapping Indeedee Mail back into that Sneasler position. Sneasler going to get rid of its Psychic Seed. Doesn't matter anymore since its HP is so low anyway, and it's naturally faster than everything on his side. But perfectly timed, putting Psychic Terrain back up so the Thunder Wave cannot activate into Volcarona. Prankster priority stopped in Psychic Terrain. Now Volcarona Struggle Bug into Grimmsnarl while Golden Go protects.
The Thunder Wave would have been really valuable, not just into the Volcarona where it was targeted, but against any of these threats. If you've gotten Sneasler slower, if you've gotten the Ursaluna eventually slower, the Psychic Terrain will stop that for several turns. Trying to land a Struggle Bug into Golden Go makes a lot of sense as well. If you can get Golden Go lowered enough to not be able to threaten a KO into the Ursaluna Blood Moon, then it makes the end game a lot easier to resolve. You just need some combination of speed control or survivability for CHUPA to not just like have all the dominoes fall from a few Make It Rains in a row, and you can establish that in several different ways. But for now, we need another Light Screen. Darsh setting it up.
Well, that's how long Game 2 has been, that the 8 turns have passed, and he needs to set up a second Light Screen, which helps survive the hit there at 8 HP, forces Struggle Bug to be a spread attack to finally get the KO on Grimmsnarl. But Grimmsnarl can definitely be helping out the team from the Poké Center while it has that light screen up against these special attackers on CHUPA's side. Nasty Plot for Golden Go saying, fight Struggle Bug with Nasty Plot. You're going to drop me by 1. I'll raise my special attack by 2.
That's one way to look at it. The other way is that CHUPA made that Nasty Plot only a +1 while DARSH lost to Grimmsnarl on that turn, which crucially also forces Pelipper on the field. CHUPA really wants Golden Go left by itself at the end of this game, is now threatening just faster KO onto the Pelipper. It can protect itself for 1 turn, but it's not going to be long for the world. It also, if Golden Go wants to get 2 KOs at once, it's going to have to make it rain, dropping its own special attack. There's probably more Struggle Bugs coming in, dropping its special attack even further. It's going to become more and more difficult for Golden Go to get that KO onto the Ursaluna that's in the back.
Yeah, we see why Golden Go is a 50% usage Pokemon. It's so important. And the Choice Scarf indeed with Terra Blast takes care of that pesky 1 hit point remaining on Pelipper and knocking it out and leaving this Golden Go all by itself. Volcarona tailwinding for the 3rd time this game. There's the Make It Rain for the knockout into Indeedee, but not a KO for Volcarona. Now you've lost both, essentially both of the Nasty Plot boosts because of the first Struggle Bug and the Make It Rain dropping it down. And yeah, Volcarona still alive and the Blood Moon Ursaluna in Tailwind.
Right, that's what's really key here, is that the Volcarona just stayed on the field for so long, got multiple Struggle Bugs off that forced DARSH to reposition and then not to have too much advantage here, and then ultimately was able to set a 3rd Tailwind in this game, and now has the Ursaluna faster than the Golden Go, which should just about seal it. The Golden Go does still have Light Screen, can still Terastallize out of the weakness to ground, but it's going to have to take a Struggle Bug now at -1 special attack.
Yeah, CHUPA is no stranger to playing long, extended games of VGC. We get to turn 10, turn 11, advantage CHUPA, and now this series is tied 1 game apiece. Winner of Game 3 will move on to top 4.
The Ursaluna had such a big impact on that game. It just threatened so much damage, even with the mitigation that DARSH has. Still was able to get a 2-hit KO onto Archaludon, helped along the way by, or threatened a 2-hit KO onto Archaludon that forced DARSH to reposition and ultimately ended with a close combat KOing the Archaludon. But it's helped along by a special defense drop from an Earth Power, but still was doing really significant damage even through the Light Screen and the Assault Vest.
Now, DARSH has used those same Pokemon in this matchup, has not brought the Dragonite, has not brought the Mousehold. Is this maybe a matchup experience? Maybe he's used to seeing this since there are 3 prominent players using this archetype in the field in Toronto, and maybe had earlier learnings that the Dragonite Mousehold was not a great option, or maybe is it a situation where you're saving that switch up for Game 3?
I'm really interested to see. I think the adjustment DARSH has to make is to deal with the Volcarona more quickly. It cannot stay on the field so many turns that it sets a 3rd game-winning Tailwind. And there is damage threat to deal with it, right? It is a problem as long as it's redirecting away body presses or just going through Make It Rains. But if you can get a scale shot into it, if you can get a Muddy Water into it, I mean, maybe that's one of the key adjustments to make in the games that we saw both Game 1 and Game 2. Pelipper used kind of its 1 chance to attack. It is such a frail and slower Pokemon that it's only really getting 1 chance to attack in these matches. It both times used it in order to go for a Tailwind. If it used it for a Muddy Water instead, I think would be a lot of chip damage into the Ursaluna, and maybe just deal with the Volcarona on the spot. But for now, neither player adjusting. We go into the decisive Game 3 with both players using the lead from Game 2.
And both of CHUPA's Pokemon are threatened by a Muddy Water, so in this situation, if you want to force CHUPA to Terastallize the Ursaluna to get out of that water weakness, then the Volcarona still has a Fire type in the rain. The Muddy Water would be pretty solid damage.
It would, and if you can deal with the Volcarona and remove the Rage Powder option, then Archaludon does a lot better to fight into the Ursaluna Blood Moon. The Golden Go will have an easier time getting Make It Rains off if there's not a Fire type on the other side, but you might be doing it with one-sided Tailwind for a few turns, which could be hard to withstand with an Terra Normal Ursaluna on the other side.
So you might be trading a Tailwind for damage with Muddy Water right now. It's neither trainer is going to swap any of their Pokemon. They're going for straight damage here on turn 1 of Game 3. Grimmsnarl with the Light Screen going to negate 50% of the damage from CHUPA's special attacks for the next 8 turns. Volcarona clicking Tailwind yet again on turn 1. All 3 games games in this set. Here's a Terra normal boosted Blood Moon attack into Pelipper, just like game 2, bringing it down to its focus hatch. And this is Pelipper's chance. This is Darsh's chance to make an adjustment in this matchup, or will he match the speeds? Chooses instead to match the speed. But at this point, you're now just having the Grimmsnarl, who's always that threat of the Indeedee switching back in and stopping its prankster abilities.
Right. Once again, Pelipper is probably its one chance to attack in the match in order to get a Tailwind off. The last game we saw CHUPA switch to Indeedee here in order to block a possible turn to Thunderwave. I'm interested to see if he makes the same play again. I would kind of expect it. Thunderwave would be really disruptive if some of these crucial Pokemon
to both Blood Moon and Volcarona.
To either of them or to the things in the back, right? Nothing wants to be paralyzed here, because part of CHUPA's advantage in this matchup is when Darsh invests so much in matching Tailwind, CHUPA still largely has the speed advantage. The Sneasler is faster, the Volcarona is faster. It's just the Ursaluna that pays for this, and so no surprise to see Indeedee coming in, using Psychic Terrain to make sure that Thunderwave doesn't disrupt that speed advantage.
This time around, CHUPA making an adjustment, swapping Volcarona out instead of Blood Moon Ursaluna. This will stop the Thunderwave thanks to the Psychic Terrain, so no chance at lowering the speed. Muddy Water, it's gonna dodge Indeedee Mail on the switch in, but it does some really solid damage to Ursaluna, who goes for the Earth Power into Pelipper, who's a flying type, so he does no damage.
CHUPA trying to be a turn ahead there and catch one of the two steel types, the Golden Go or the Archeldodon that Darsh has had in the back all 3 games.
Because Pelipper did swap on turn 2 all of the games.
Right, yeah, it doesn't have a place here in the field. It's just being threatened by a Struggle Bug. So CHUPA's going, well, I don't need to use the faster Struggle Bug if you're going to switch anyway, and I can catch the switch with an Earth Power. Both things don't pay off. Really significant Muddy Water damage into Ursaluna, but this turn is still kind of a trap. You can just Expanding Force to threaten the KO onto Pelipper, and still, this is like we talked about in game 2, when the KO is threatened in the other slot, it lets Ursaluna be free to do whatever it wants, which makes it really difficult to make any switch. So no surprise to see Darsh not risking one of those 2 Pokemon in the back with a switch. Instead, just lets Pelipper go down to this Expanding Force, and then Ursaluna will be the next thing to attack. Will fire off a huge Blood Moon into the Grimmsnarl.
Right, even behind the light screen, that does massive damage to Grimmsnarl. The Life Orb, the Terra normal boost, and the massive base power that Blood Moon has brings it down to 10 HP. The Foul Play goes towards Indeedee Mail, though, bringing it down to about 30% HP remaining. The speeds are evened out still, and Golden Go is on the field.
This is a strong position for Darsh. The Golden Go and Grimmsnarl are neither one really threatened here, because the Indeedee can't do any damage to Grimmsnarl while locked into Expanding Force. Golden Go will resist it and be able to take a hit. If Golden Go is naturally faster than Ursaluna in this match Tailwind, so if it just wants to go for a Make It Rain, it's just threatening 2 KOs. Of course, Volcarona will be fine to switch into a Make It Rain, but you can only do that in 1 slot. I am a little bit surprised to see the Foul Play go into Indeedee. It does a ton of damage in that slot, but all the chip damage is so valuable against Ursaluna. Even the Foul Play might have put it back into Life Orb KO range. But for now, Ursaluna leaving the field, can't afford to risk that. Pokemon Volcarona comes back in to take any attacks from this Golden Go a lot better than the Ursaluna would.
Yeah, Volcarona does resist Make It Rain as a fire type, so CHUPA anticipating him to come out, but no, Darsh staying ahead here will just protect its Golden Go. Reflect for the Grimmsnarl, now negating the physical damage that CHUPA might have on his team, like the Sneasler, if that is CHUPA's 4th Pokemon. Here, can't hit Grimmsnarl as a Dark type with the Psychic attack, so the Tailwinds do peter out at this point, but only CHUPA has a Pokemon on the field that can click Tailwind.
Yeah, this is the risk of investing so much in the matched Tailwinds in the early games. The CHUPA has much more sustainable Tailwind. Volcarona really not threatened here. Psychic Terrain still preventing Thunderwave for now. Though, of course, risking Indeedee, if it goes down, then eventually Thunderwave is a threat. Could have gone down on that last turn with a Foul Play. Instead, Darsh preferring to Reflect, knowing that Sneasler will eventually come out, and you need to be able to keep Archeldodon and Golden Go safe from the Sneasler offense. Indeedee does seem to be a little bit disposable here. CHUPA just wants to keep clicking Expanding Force, getting some chip damage out, but not really significant damage into either of these Pokemon.
Yeah, 2 steel types on the field, so the Psychic and Bug attacks are not going to do enough damage, but crucially, Volcarona will land the Struggle Bug and get a special attack drop onto both Archeldodon and Golden Go. Darsh deciding 2 nasty plots to negate that Struggle Bug, partially at least. Now he's at +1 special attack and the rain is gone.
One thing to note here for CHUPA is there's not much rush to Tailwind. What you don't want to do do is Tailwind too early, then lose
and Ursaluna's not on the field for it.
Right, and then lose Volcarona during that Tailwind so that when Ursaluna comes back out, it doesn't have it. Volcarona's not really threatened here, and it is naturally faster than any Pokemon that Darsh has. So you can kind of Tailwind at the last moment when you think something is going to go down. But now, for the first time in this match, Darsh has both of his offensive threats on the field at the same time. He's always been a little bit hampered by having the Grimmsnarl there not doing much in many of these games, but here is threatening the Golden Go to continue to boost up. The Archaludon already has +1 defense and can go for an Electro Shot as well here.
No longer access to rain in this game for Darsh, which means essentially this Archaludon's never going to be able to click Electro Shot to raise its special attacks, since it'll take the full 2 turns every time. So this is kind of a free area for CHUPA to continue to struggle bug into 2 special attackers. Sneasler's going to take these hits well, considering the struggle bug lowering their special attack yet again. But of course, Sneasler eating or activating that Psychic Seed, boosting its special defense by 1 stage here. Second stamina boost for Archaludon, and I think Darsh understands that this Archaludon's never really going to get any damage for the rest of this game, so I'll just continue to snarl and lower their special attack instead, while letting Nasty Plot Golden Go set up for a second time.
The NDD switching out there pretty crucial. The Snarl, while it is mostly damage mitigation against Volcarona, might have been valuable damage against NDD Male, such a frail Pokemon. And if NDD had gone down, we just saw Psychic Terrain expire. That Grimmsnarl in the back would have become a speed control Pokemon. But now CHUPA retains the option to block any Prankster Thunder Waves with Psychic Terrain. Golden Go has, by 2 Nasty Plots, gotten itself up to +2 special attack. Might be enough to threaten a KO, but of course, if it tries to go for an attack, it's probably going to take a struggle bug first before it can go out on the offense. Meanwhile, Archaludon, though, is quietly getting some boosts up, has gotten 2 staminas. If the struggle bugs keep coming out to suppress Golden Go, Archaludon will continue to get more stamina boosts.
Finally, Darsh terrestrializing in this game with the Terra Bug Archaludon, different than Terra Electric or, Terra Fairy or any other Terra type. This bug typing now resists close combat if CHUPA wants to go for it. That's how he got a KO before, and it's not going to happen this time. That doesn't even do double-digit damage to Archaludon. Sneasler loses the special defense boost it had as well from the Psychic Seed. So now it's back down to neutral defense or special defense there. Volcarona with the Tailwind on this turn to double the speed. Archaludon with a yet another Snarl, lowering Volcarona's special attack by 1 more stage. And then it's up to the Golden Go, who clicks Make It Rain at +1. It's enough for the neutral special defense Sneasler, and now a big threat has been taken out.
Sneasler is gone, but maybe wasn't offering too much offensive potential at this point anyway. It maybe did its job just by forcing the Terastallization onto the Archaludon. The Snarls building up in Volcarona are important here because after going into a bug type, it's now weak to Overheat and no more rain to mitigate that damage.
And it no longer resists Blood Moon.
No longer resists Blood Moon, does resist Earth Power. Of course, the really key target now becomes the Golden Go. The speed advantage for CHUPA, though, means that Ursaluna is threatening Earth Power into that slot. And also the Terastallization has now been spent, which means Golden Go can't get out of it. Of course, Golden Go can protect itself, but we've seen how the Volcarona can support Ursaluna away from body presses with Rage Powder, but even just a couple Snarls might start to build this up. Special attack's been really lowered all over the place. A lot of little tiny chip damage coming into play everywhere. Overheat is, I think, still an important damage threat here, even at -2 from Snarls. Super effective into both of these targets, and just weakening them some could, for instance, open things back up for the NDD in the back for Expanding Force. A key wall to that is that Grimmsnarl is still alive at 10 HP. You can't commit to
You can do 0 damage with Expanding Force, right, into Grimmsnarl, so you're never going to win that exchange. Volcarona with the Overheat as Ursaluna protects. That's super effective into the bug type. Archaludon on the other end, but it is an Assault Vest, and it was already lowered 2 times by the Snarl, so Archaludon actually tanks that relatively well, considering it was super effective. Yet another Snarl there into Volcarona, lowering its special attack even more. The Make It Rain will not hit Ursaluna since it protected, only going to target the Volcarona, bringing it down into the red. But I feel like Volcarona has done such an important job of chipping things down potentially as Light Screen goes away.
Really key see that Light Screen expires there. It means that Ursaluna is such a huge damage threat. Volcarona has done such a good job, again, of just staying on the field way too long in this game. Gets some overheat chip into Archaludon, can still threaten a redirection on this turn with Rage Powder, and was able to take that +1 Make It Rain even as low as it had been chipped by all these other attacks.
Yeah, now the Volcarona is -5 special defense with 3 snarls and an overheat drop. He doesn't care. -5 into Gholdengo still does well enough damage to bring Gholdengo down into the red. And the spread Hyper Voice attack, Ursaluna Blood Moon with its unique ability to hit ghost types with normal attacks means it doesn't care about the ghost typing on Gholdengo, and that is a double knockout with just a 10 HP Grimmsnarl in the back.
Yeah, that's all of it, right? Grimmsnarl cannot fight back against 3 Pokemon with just foul play. CHUPA sees the chance for a decisive double KO, uses even, like you say, -5 special attack with no more Light Screen, and with the extra damage coming in from Hyper Voice, the ability to pick up the 2 KOs. Doesn't need to just Earth Power there, and so CHUPA makes it happen. This Volcarona makes it happen over so many turns, tailwinding multiple times, struggle bugging so many times, and even getting 2 overheats off in this game. Just stays on the field way too long. Those really key turn 1 decisions about how to use Pelipper eventually playing out in CHUPA's favor both game 2 and game 3.
Yeah, no Slitherwing, no Iron, what's the future one? I'm forgetting his name. The future Volcarona, Iron Moth, right?
Even on the last turn, CHUPA taking no risks with this. Maybe like a Thunder Wave into Blood Moon could start fully paralysis. Every one of Volcarona's attacks is not 100% accurate, so maybe there's a miracle somewhere, but CHUPA doesn't allow it. Just gets the Psychic Terrain down, gets the Blood Moon, closes